This presentation, using configured password profiles, is a follow-on to configuring configured password profiles. It focuses on the end user's use of configured password profiles. It includes configuring individual users, along with setting the configured password profiles as the authentication type and configuring time constraints. It includes demand logon showing a password change. It shows you how to select your self-service password reset questions and answers and then use them to reset your password, and finally gives an example of using the password dollar processor. The configured password profile's lifecycle policy for initial expiration says that it's immediate. So now let's go change a user into a configured password profile user and see what happens. So we're changing the authentication type to configured password profiles, and notice that that becomes a 19, and the time constraints, which we'll talk about a little bit later, appear here. Now we're going to save this, and now we'll log in as this user. And notice that we have a message asking us to enter a new password. So let's see what we can get here. Uh-oh, it's too similar to the current password. Well, we'd better try something different. And we're going to have to enter it twice. And because the 2 times matched, then we're on our way. The reason the first password that I entered as the new password wasn't accepted is because in the password policies, advanced password policy said that the password variance must be at least 3 characters from the previous password, and I was only different by 1. And then in the operational settings, confirm password change was set, and so I had to enter the password twice. And the login time constraints are enabled, and that's why they showed up in the user record. Now let's look at those time constraints. Suppose I'm a contractor who's not supposed to be here, let's say on Sunday or Monday. The security administrator can keep me from logging in Sunday or Monday, or let's say up until 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Now when I try to log in at a time that I'm not permitted to log in, even if I get my password right, I'll be told I can't log in at this time of day. The answer to the self-service password reset questions have to meet certain criteria. They can't duplicate one another. None of them can contain sequences of more than 2 characters, such as ABC. They can't have more than 2 repeating characters, so for example, AAA would not be a legitimate answer. And they must meet minimum length requirements. If there's 1 password reset question, the answer has to be at least 9 characters long. With 2 questions, each answer has to be 5 characters or more. And if there are 3 or more questions, each answer has to be at least 3 characters, and that's the case we're going to demonstrate here. The answers to the password self-reset questions are never saved in ClearText. Rather, like the password itself, they're saved in hashed form in the user ID security record. One of our operational settings says that self-service password reset can be initialized with 3 questions. So let's see what happens the second time we log in as a new configured password profiles user. Now we have to pick 3 questions, and we do that by entering the number of the question. Let's suppose we want to name our first pet. Okay, that one's no longer in the list. Now let's pick our favorite food. These questions are kept in the Extended Language Message System, ELMS, so if you'd like a different set of questions, you can customize them for your site. Okay, and there we are. We're logged in again. By the way, in the favorite sports team, I did enter something that had a space in the middle, so that's okay for these answers to the security questions. Now let's make use of that self-service password reset. So that you can see what I'm entering, I'm going to tab up here so that the screen isn't blanked. And you'll see that I'm entering forgot as my password. That prompts the system to ask me for the answers to the questions that I entered before. If I get any of them wrong, it'll go back to asking me to enter the user ID and password again. But in this case, I got them right, so now I can enter my new password, and let's see what happens here. I can enter it again to confirm it. And I've done this without having to bother the security administrator in the middle of the night to reset my password for me. Now let's take a look at the password $processor. The configured password profiles user can use the password $processor to change his password other than at logon time. Notice that it says the new password has to be different from the last 3 used passwords. It's configured for 5, but I've only used 3 passwords since becoming a configured password profiles user. So we're going to try this again and pick a new password that's completely different. Let's see if I typed it right. Oh, nope, they didn't match. One more time. Okay, so now I've typed them and I'm going to commit. This takes a little while. And when the password $processor is finished, it clears the screen and tells you that the password change has been completed. This presentation demonstrated a few of the ways in which configured password profiles helps the administrator improve password security and comply with company policies and governmental and industry regulations regarding passwords. We've shown how some of the settings affect the end user, including the rule that new passwords must differ by a certain amount from the current password and not be the same as several most recently used passwords. We've shown that configured password profiles can constrain the times a user can log in. We've also shown how configured password profiles can require the user to enter his new password twice to avoid accidentally entering one that's not what he meant to enter. We've also shown how the administrator configures self-service password reset and how the user configures his own reset questions and uses forgot to initiate the self-service password reset process. Finally, we demonstrated the use of the password $processor, which blanks the user's old and new passwords and thus is safer than the transparent password command for changing passwords during a demand session. Thank you.